And automatically we become conscious of the sacred in-breath and out-breath. And in this now eternal moment, there's a sense of grace and peace and perfect balance now coming into our energetic field, permeating and moving into the physical, the mental, and the emotional bodies. And indeed, the consciousness of the physical, mental, and emotional bodies have been ready, accepting by the very intention to be here, to participate, to be of service, to come from the higher heart of compassion and unconditional love that has brought you in this now moment. And already the energy begins to move from the highest celestial realms of light, from that infinite eternal flame of which we hold within, which is why the physical body is to be honored, as indeed it is the temple. So we breathe the sacred in-breath and out-breath. And as we do, it anchors in more deeply and circulates the higher codes of illumined, radiant worlds. Those worlds known as the right hand of the divine. Those higher celestial realms. The unfallen realms. The realms of which in the deepest parts of ourselves know and recognize and yearn for, is indeed the soul pulse that pulls us on our journey back home. It is the soul pulse that reminds us that we have come because of our capacity to hold light, our capacity to anchor the higher heart of compassion and unconditional love in a world that would have the opposite. But there is that part of us that knows that there is something beyond this world that we resonate to, that we strive for, long for, and are part of. And so we say to you, beloveds, the children of light upon the earth are coming into a holy alignment more brilliantly, more radiantly than ever before, as the work of so many have pierced through the illusion, the distortion, and the confusion that has been part of this reality bite that you find yourself in. But the stirring within that soul pulse that pulls you through inspirations, through dreams, through certain realness and knowingness that you can't explain. In this knowing, and although it cannot be described in earthly, you know it true and real within your being. And through all the distortions, through all the indoctrinations, still here you are, following that soul pulse, following a sense of a higher vision, a better world, a sense of mission. And as you strive each step moving forward through all the pitfalls, through all the challenges, through all the lessons, here you are. And with each step, with each committed purpose of serving the divine through the love that you hold and the love of God, the Creator, the One, the Source, that ever beckons you, calls you, reminds you, even as you embody a physical, mental, and emotional dense world. And in this three density, you are here in this now moment because you understand, you transcend beyond the three density of a world that would have you think it is all that it is. But the deep beingness in you, beloveds, know differently. And this has caused for many so much in terms of sacrifice and courage to follow your authenticity, the sense of knowingness that's unexplainable in physical, worldly terms. And even in moving in the darkness of unknowingness, indeed in the darkness where fear can be present, yet that soul pulse is so strong within you, that distant cosmic memory of promising to serve in those worlds that need upliftment, liberation, and radiance into the highest attunement and alignment with the higher worlds, the right hand of the divine. And so, beloveds, we say to you, your very existence upon the earth is indeed a prayer from the Ancient of Days, a plan from the Ancient of Days, a divine plan of which you play a critical role. And in this ever rising consciousness and awareness, as remembrance starts to come online, as the age of forgetfulness now begins to dissolve, as you persevere in this now moment to make known the unknown, to move in truth. And it is that truth that you seek and the highest of cosmic levels. Indeed, it is the Christ that embodied as Yeshua, known as Jesus, 2,000 years ago upon the earth, that said, the truth shall set you free. So on this journey of truth, which each step that you take forward, piercing through the illusions, piercing through the delusions, and piercing through the confusion of a physical, mental, and emotional world, constructed, whose goal is to keep this energetic continuum. But you understand, for it to work, it must be held in the consciousness of those beings who are part of it. And as long as the consciousness is agreeable to it, so shall it exist. But the moment that the consciousness is no longer agreeable to it, as long as the consciousness of the divine collective says we no longer to participate in this type of world of imbalance and war, separation. And as the consciousness begins to unfold with the children of light upon the earth who lead the way, the construct of the consciousness of limitation and division will begin to deconstruct. And indeed, we say to you, beloveds, it is you that have walked upon this path, the pioneers and those who have come before you to break new ground into the higher frequency realms of the higher worlds that is embedded within your very DNA, in the very codons, in the very electron spin of your atomic and subatomic level. And indeed, it is this wider energy fields that connects you with the greater life intelligences that surround you. That you come to the great awakening. That indeed, the program that was believed by millions in many years past, that it was the sun that revolved around the earth. And it took the collective consciousness and those brave ones to pierce and asking for truth and putting everything on the line, for the truth was going to set them and the consciousness of the collective free. And that was a quantum leap, beloveds. When those brave ones said, no, 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 that is not the truth. It is where the earth revolves around the sun, along with other celestial bodies. And that indeed the sun is part of a greater spiral that moves around the great suns of Alcyon, and those great suns revolve around other suns that revolve around the great galactic mother. In those who have held the light and pursuant to truth. Again, a great iconic triggering was seeing the planet for the first time from the perspective of the moon. Again, an expansiveness in consciousness of the divine collective no longer can be contained or made small. And then beyond that, in the depths of space, you've seen the sacred earth as a small light from the perspective of Mars. And we say to you, beloveds, this revelation of truth, unveilment, higher awareness and consciousness is for those upon the earth who have moved, listened in the soul pulse that pulled them, to go beyond their fears, to go beyond their challenges, and indeed to go beyond what they know not. But in this pursuant, the great unveiling, the move of those smokes and mirrors, and coming into the brilliance of enlightenment, understanding, and knowledge, and the re-remembering of everything. The re-remembering of the great flame that seeks to embolden the entire consciousness of that which you are, connected to the source of all that is, anchored in love and in the eternal light. A sensing that moves within your own nervous system, that senses and knows it, yearns for it, longs for it. A sense of illumination, radiance, anchored balance, and peace. Yes, seemingly a distant cosmic memory, but it is within each and every one of you. And as you choose to make known the unknown, as you seek the illumined truth, as you move beyond your challenges and your fears, as you open the higher heart of compassion and unconditional love, as you seek ways to how to eliminate the illusion of separation and distortion, as you walk your own individual path of righteousness, of brilliance, and radiate your authenticity of the light that you are upon this world, in alignment with the great avatars of light, indeed the divine Christed One, the divine Maitreya, to be a light to the world. And as those great ones of the past, of which many of you have embodied individually or as a group soul, that have pierced through the darkness, pierced through the limitation to bring light and illumination to the divine collective of this world, to remind them they hold the flame, to remember their source, which is beyond the physical body, the mental and the emotional, and indeed beyond the physical, mental, and emotional world. And as one by one, your very presence, holding this knowledge, holding this radiance, and you move in the world, you activate others, and they in turn activate others. And then a great time of seeking truth now becomes prominent in the hearts and the minds of so many, that they no longer go by external information, but find the truth within themselves, to rely on their own inner guidance and their own ability of critical thinking skills, to begin to question everything and take nothing for granted. For indeed, the truth requires you to question everything, to know that it is anchored in truth, not manipulated, not distorted, and not covered with distortion and manipulation. So it requires you, beloveds, to trust how your body feels, to trust your own nervous system, to trust that ever small thought that wafers in to guide you, to start to develop that, to make that your guiding post. And as you do, as you radiate as the Christ, as the divine Maitreya, as you light up your environment, you move with grace and ease and bring that to others. Bring that into the environments that you find yourselves in. And indeed, through your own consciousness, you can direct this all around the world and beyond. So we see here now, beloveds, in this now moment, that who you are as the radiant light, the Christ light, the divine Maitreya, the divine Holy Spirit, holding the frequencies of the higher ascended worlds, the great Shambhala worlds, the great crystalline worlds, the great worlds of the right hand of the divine, moving in and through you with each and every holy, sacred in-breath and out-breath. And as you now radiate this into the physical, mental, and emotional worlds, for indeed, beloveds, it is you, out of your love, came into the physical world, mental and the emotional, to assist in the raising of the frequency of the sacred earth and all of her life, to remind the humanity of their divine source, of the great Adam Kadmon, the divine human, and to rise in frequency in the return home for this sacred earth and for all of her life. And so we breathe with intention. We move the higher celestial realms of light that we anchor in this now moment as the great cosmic in-breath and out-breath over the sacred world, the great Gaia, the great Terra, into her waters, into her mountains and valleys, into the atmosphere and through the elements, into the great kingdoms of the mineral, the plant, the animal, and the human kingdom. Through our intention in holding the frequencies of the higher celestial realms of light, breathe the breath of God through us, throughout the earth, through all of her expressions, through all layers, and through all expressions, from the surface into the inner, through all the kingdoms. We breathe the sacred in-breath and out-breath of remembrance. And now, the thought of the return enters. And as such, the most radiant ones that have helped to hold this platform begins to draw in their electromagnetic field, and we know to do the same. We now draw in our electromagnetic field with the intention to fully back into our physical, mental, and emotional bodies and ground it to the sacred earth. On the count of 3, we will intend to be back, awake, alert, and fully grounded. 1, 2, take a deep breath in. And 3, we are back, we are awake, we are alert, and we are grounded.